President Emmanuel Macron has confirmed that France will vote against the EU's Mercosur treaty in Brussels this Friday, but the free trade deal with South America is still expected to pass. Diptyque Laurent is here to tell us more. Diptyque, what are the French papers saying about all this?
Well, Alison, Le Figaro, the French right-wing paper, says it's really a fiasco for France, and it explains on its front page today that the French president was really trapped by this deal, by the vote at least, in a no-win situation. If he chose to follow Europe and sign off on the Mercosur deal, he risked angering France and its farmers, but by choosing to defend France, the deal is likely to pass anyway, thanks in part to votes from other countries like Italy. It's a cruel humiliation, Le Figaro's editors write today. Emmanuel Macron will see France's diplomatic power also declining as that vote is set to pass this Friday.
Not all is lost, though, Diptyque. There is some optimism in the French papers today. One paper writing about French sectors that could actually be winners from this deal.
Yeah, absolutely. There are some sectors that, of course, the farming sector or the meat industry stands to lose, but there are other industries that would actually benefit from such a free trade deal with South America. And this is something that Le Parisien newspaper is outlining in its edition today. It looks at notably the French wine industry, which will benefit from this deal because it will allow them to sell wine that sells less favorably in Europe to a new market. It's the same for the dairy industry, which exports 40% of its production and sees a lucrative market opening up with those South American countries. And business owners will also be thrilled with the deal, which will benefit European manufacturers and industries. Once again, it cannot be denied that the meat industry will stand to lose, an industry that's already reeling from a host of problems. In any case, La Croix newspaper says that this vote today, and if it does pass, it would put an end to 26 years of what it calls psychodrama, because indeed the first Mercosur negotiations began 26 years ago in 1999.
All right, we'll be following that vote, of course, later today. Meanwhile, we're going to turn to the opioid crisis in the U.S. that's ravaged cities for years. And there's a report in Science magazine that shows a surprising decline in overdose deaths since at least 2023.
Yeah, that's right. The journal Science tells us that the fatal overdoses from synthetic opioids like fentanyl have increased, of course, more than 25-fold in the U.S. in the past 15 years. But in 2023, something curious happened. Deaths by overdose actually began to, well, it peaked at 76,000 deaths and then started to decline slowly. And it's something that the journal Science has noted and looked at in its edition. It also says that this decline is of major scientific and policy interest. The Washington Post today is looking at reasons for this plunging decline for the decline of overdose deaths. It says there are several reasons that could be explained. Billions of dollars have been spent on addiction treatment, notably the overdose reversal drug naloxone. There's also law enforcement efforts to disrupt drug trafficking operations. There is, though, another surprising reason, and that is China. China's chemical and pharma industries have long been criticized for really facilitating the drug crisis, particularly the international fentanyl trade. But since 2023, Beijing has shut down Chinese companies selling precursor chemicals to Mexican criminal groups, which allow them to produce the synthetic form in labs. And it's around this time that the decline from overdose deaths also started to occur. As this a writer for the Washington Post reminds us, so that happened well before Donald Trump was actually elected into office.
We'll have to see if he tries to take credit anyway.
Exactly.
Finally, from you, Diptyque, the mayor of Berlin is in trouble over his actions during a recent blackout in the city.
Yeah, that's right. You can read about it in Tagesspiegel. That's a German daily today. Here he is on the front page. You might be wondering why he has a tennis racket and a tennis ball. Well, because it turns out that some 100,000 people were left without power during sub-zero weather in Berlin last weekend. It comes as climate activists claim responsibility for an attack on Berlin's power supply. on Wednesday, Kai Wegner, he's Berlin's mayor, well, he admitted to playing a game of tennis during the blackout on Saturday after previously omitting that detail. He had said he was, quote, locked up in his office. It turns out that he was actually playing tennis because, to quote him, I had to switch off, he said. No pun intended, I guess, Allison. Despite calls to stand down, the centre-right mayor says he did everything he could to ensure power was restored to households. No love lost for Wegner's tennis escapade, but this paper here, this writer here says it was a serious double fault on the part of the mayor of Berlin.
All right, we'll see if he hangs on to his job or if he gets more time to spend playing tennis. Deepti, thank you so much, as always, for that look through the papers. That was our press reviewer, Deeptika Laurent.